Korea.
South Africa's current technical recession has created a challenging business environment, but despite this, South African small and medium enterprises remain optimistic about their potential to grow and become more profitable, particularly those involved in IT and the green economy. This is according to two separate surveys into SME growth released recently. For more, I'm joined in studio by Lesley Williams, CEO of Tshimologong Precinct, and standing by in Cape Town is Matt Brownell, Head of Brand Marketing at Yoco. Matt, thanks for your time. Lesley, thanks for your time. Matt, let's go to you first and actually speak about the context and highlights of this research and what it's showing us.
Sure. Well, I think the biggest highlight from the research was really something which was also very surprising, which was a sense of optimism amongst the research base, which was small business owners across the width and breadth of South Africa. So the research was conducted in the end of August, and it surveyed 30,000 of Yoco's customers. We are a payments and point-of-sale provider. Our customers are really across all industries. They are all small businesses, micro and medium businesses as well. And really the research showed some really fascinating things. What we did is we asked the businesses 5 questions attached to the kind of growth that they were expecting in the 12 months ahead. Were they expected to increase their staffing levels? And how did they find the current business environment? We then gave it an index, so a score out of -100, which was a very negative aspect and sense of attached to the business environment, to +100, which was a very positive aspect. And the index came out, and we're calling it the Small Business Pulse, at +32. So really a sense of optimism, and something which we didn't expect to see, but which obviously a fantastic story amongst the current recession and the sort of negative perception in indexes such as the Business Confidence Index.
All right, thanks for that. And let's bring it back here to Joburg. Lesley, of course, what Matt is saying bears testament to your success and your company's success. Tell us about exactly what you do and whether you're seeing the benefits that he talks about.
Sure. So Tshimologong Precinct is a digital innovation hub in Braamfontein, Johannesburg, founded by Wits University. And our main priority is developing the skills in the digital economy within South Africa from both a high school leavers job creation perspective as well as entrepreneurs. So what we are seeing in Johannesburg is that there is sufficient support for startup entrepreneurs in the tech space, but we do need to start shifting attention to higher growth ventures. So Johannesburg has about 500 software companies, but less than 10% of them have high productivity in the sense of creating jobs for over 100 people and more.
So this is a thing, though. We see that we're in a technical recession. We see that unemployment is high and joblessness is increasing in South Africa. But you're saying there's a gap in the IT sector. So more and more people should actually try and capitalize on that.
Definitely. So what the research has shown is that entrepreneurs are quite excited by Johannesburg as a vibrant business center. In Johannesburg particularly, there is less of a need for investment. There is a high degree of customers, especially from a business-to-business perspective, but we do need to focus on an increase in talent for the growth of the tech sector.
Okay, so Matt, let's go back to you. It is difficult to start SMEs in South Africa, many argue, even though we're talking about the successes. Tell us why it's so difficult to start up and why it's so difficult for those that actually do manage to start up to actually survive in this economy.
I think it's a lot about their ability to really absorb shocks. You know, there is, whether it's even relatively small factors like rising fuel prices, or perhaps a very poor sales month, small businesses just really struggle to weather those kind of storms, which big businesses don't have trouble with. Big businesses can go to banks, they can get loans, they can lay off staff if necessary, but a small business's owner's sort of lifeblood is cash flow, and if they don't have that cash flow, you know, they cease to exist. So we have seen interesting stats like 75% of our small business owners started up their business with their own personal savings, or with loans from family and friends, and you know it's just really hard for them to continuously get access to funding and to continue to grow their businesses. That's one of the key factors, really. They also lack resources. So surveys like this is a really important thing for Yoko to do because we want to be an active participant in our merchants' growth stories. And our merchants tell us all the time that they don't have access to good data, to insights about their industries, and about the general business climate. So we're trying to help solve that through a quarterly report. But at the same time, resources are something which are hard to come by as a small business owner.
Yeah, resources, of course, something that is hard to come by, especially when you need more and more money to keep your business afloat and to make it grow. How do you get past that hurdle?
So again, first, when you start shifting the entrepreneurs from micro ventures to high growth and scale, there's quite a gap in the market there. So in Johannesburg specifically, there's quite a bit of investment in startup ventures. And again, that's where hubs play a key role because the market tends to trust hubs as a filter to invest in ventures. But we do need to start shifting focus into high growth ventures. At the moment, we would love to encourage those successful founders to get more involved in the sector. They understand the constraints that entrepreneurs go through. They need to mentor in a relevant way, provide venture capital, but get involved hands-on.
Yeah. Now, Matt, of course, you've mentioned several things about why it's so difficult for these SMEs to actually sustain themselves. What can we change as a government to make it easier to have more support for SMEs, which really is the backbone of South Africa's ailing economy? How does government play a role in making it possible for these SMEs to survive? Because we hear it all the time from our politicians about how we need to help SMEs.
I think we need a stronger ecosystem for small businesses in South Africa generally. And government does have an incredibly important role to play, facilitating the simple things, reducing admin, making life easier, making it easier to get your business up and running, to register it, to get it initially funded, making it easier to get access to the information and the data and the networks that you need. I think small business owners are inherently positive hustlers, but at the same time, they can only go so far by themselves. And I think the environment needs to be really conducive to their success. And at times in South Africa, we've really overcomplicated things, and the government doesn't help with that. So the environment is generally just very complex for a small business owner, and it's just hard for them to succeed without real general simplification across the board.
You've been nodding to what he's saying. What are your thoughts?
I absolutely agree. At the moment, the regulatory framework is not relevant or appropriate for entrepreneurial growth. There's quite a bit of fear in terms of labor relations. The risk is higher for an entrepreneur to hire and fire someone than a large corporate, for example. So from a labor relations, from a relationship with SARS, we need to simplify these processes.
Yeah. So, guys, we're going to come to the end of the conversation. Let's try and give people words of encouragement about how they can actually start their own SME. Matt, we'll start with you, and then we'll bring it to Lesley.
Well, I think one thing I would like to say is, to come back to the research quickly before I answer that, is the most positive energy that we're seeing in this environment is the young entrepreneurs. It's the people whose businesses are less than 4 years old. They're the ones that really scored highly on this Pulse Index. They're the ones that are showing that, despite the odds, they can make it happen. And I think from my perspective, it's really just a case of, hustle hard, really get under the skin of your business, master your craft, and hopefully at the same time, get linked into the ecosystems that are available to you, whether it's companies like Yoko who can help you with information and card payment systems and point of sale, or whether it's the broader ecosystem. Don't give up, and there's a real silver lining here if you can get through your initial phase into your growth phase.
Hustle hard, he says. You agree, of course.
I absolutely agree. South Africa is quite fortunate in the sense that we've got quite a vibrant tech entrepreneurial ecosystem. So there's quite a bit of support. We have customers. Many corporates and big companies are thinking about how Industry 4.0 and the future and innovation becomes relevant to them. That becomes a really interesting space for entrepreneurs to play. We need to understand how we position ourselves in that space, but there's a lot of opportunity for future-oriented businesses.
All right, thank you so much for your insight. We appreciate it. That, of course, is Matt Brownell, Head of Brand Marketing at Yoko, and Lesley Williams, CEO of Tshimologong Precinct.